Most people don't realize how exhausted they are because they've never learned how much of their energy they're giving away. Every conversation, every argument, every attempt to explain yourself to someone who refuses to understand you costs something. Energy is not just physical, it's emotional, mental, and spiritual. When you allow everyone access to you, you slowly drain yourself trying to meet expectations that were never yours to carry in the first place. Protecting your peace begins the moment you recognize that your energy is not unlimited and it is not meant to be distributed freely to anyone who demands it. From a young age, many of us are conditioned to believe that being available all the time makes us kind, valuable, or lovable. We respond instantly, we listen endlessly, we absorb other people's problems as if they are our own. But availability without boundaries is not kindness, it is self-neglect. When you allow people to constantly interrupt your peace, dismiss your feelings, or pull you into unnecessary drama, you teach them that your well-being is optional. Over time, this creates resentment, burnout, and a deep sense of emotional fatigue that no amount of rest can fix. Not everyone deserves front row access to your thoughts, your time, or your emotions. Some people only come close enough to take, criticize, or project their chaos onto you. They don't ask how you're doing because they don't intend to listen. They don't respect your limits because your limits inconvenience them. Giving these people unlimited access does not make you strong. It makes you vulnerable in the wrong way. Strength is knowing who deserves your presence and who only deserves your distance. There is a difference between being open-hearted and being unguarded. An open heart allows connection, empathy, and love. Being unguarded allows exploitation. When you don't filter who gets access to you, you invite stress into places where peace should live. You begin to replay conversations in your head, second guess your decisions, and feel emotionally responsible for outcomes you cannot control. This constant mental noise steals your ability to be present in your own life. Protecting your energy does not mean becoming cold or uncaring. It means becoming intentional. It means understanding that you can care without carrying, listen without absorbing, and love without losing yourself. When you limit access, you create space for clarity. You start responding instead of reacting. You stop explaining yourself to people who have already decided not to understand you. And in that silence, your mind finally gets room to breathe. Some people will be uncomfortable when you stop being endlessly available. They may call you distant, selfish, or changed, but what has really changed is that you are no longer abandoning yourself to keep others comfortable. Peace often looks like distance to those who benefited from your exhaustion. And that discomfort they feel is not your responsibility to fix. When you protect your energy, you begin to notice how much lighter life feels. Your thoughts slow down. Your emotions stabilize. You regain control over where your attention goes. You start investing in people and environments that nourish you instead of drain you. Over time, you become more grounded, more focused, and more aligned with who you truly are. Your energy is your life force. Where you place it determine you feel, how you grow, and how you show up in the world. Stop giving everyone access to it. Choose carefully. Protect it fiercely. Because when your energy is respected, your peace becomes unshakable. For many people, the word no feels heavy. It feels like rejection, conflict, or disappointment wrapped into a single syllable. We hesitate before saying it, rehearse excuses, soften it with apologies, or avoid it altogether. This hesitation often comes from a deep-rooted fear of being seen as rude, selfish, or unkind. But the truth is that every time you say yes to something that drains you, you are quietly saying no to your own peace. Learning to say no without guilt is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of self-respect. Guilt usually appears because we confuse boundaries with selfishness. We are taught that being good means being agreeable, accommodating, and endlessly understanding. But boundaries are not walls designed to hurt others. They are doors that protect what matters most to you. When you say no to what overwhelms you, you are honoring your limits, your energy, and your time. Guilt fades when you realize that your well-being does not need permission from anyone else. Saying no becomes easier when you understand that you are not responsible for managing other people's emotions. Someone may feel disappointed, frustrated, or surprised by your refusal, but those feelings belong to them. Carrying the emotional reactions of others is a burden you were never meant to bear. When you take responsibility for how everyone feels, you give away your power and invite constant anxiety into your life. There is also a quiet confidence that grows when you stop over-explaining your choices. You don't owe long justifications for protecting your peace. The more you explain, the more you invite debate, negotiation, and pressure. A simple, calm no is enough. It sends a message that your boundaries are not up for discussion. Over time, people learn how to treat you based on what you consistently allow. Learning to say no without guilt also means recognizing that time is non-refundable. Every commitment you accept costs hours of your life that you will never get back. When you fill your schedule with obligations driven by fear or obligation, you leave no room for rest, creativity, or joy. Peace requires space, and space is created by the courage to decline what does not align with you. As you practice saying no, you may notice an inner discomfort at first. That discomfort is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It is a sign that you are breaking an old pattern. Growth often feels unfamiliar before it feels freeing. With time, that discomfort turns into relief, and relief turns into confidence. When guilt no longer controls your decisions, you begin to live more intentionally. Your yes becomes more meaningful because it is no longer forced. You show up with sincerity instead of resentment. And in choosing yourself without apology, you discover that peace is not found in pleasing everyone, but in being honest with yourself. Worth a great deal of our inner turmoil comes from fighting battles that were never ours to win. We spend energy worrying about outcomes, other people's choices, and situations that are far beyond our influence. The mind keeps replaying scenarios, imagining different endings, trying to predict or prevent pain. This constant struggle creates tension because control is an illusion, and the harder we chase it, the more anxious we become. Detaching from what you cannot control is not giving up. It is choosing peace over endless resistance. There is a difference between responsibility and control. You are responsible for your actions, your words, and your intentions. You are not responsible for how others respond, what they choose, or how life unfolds beyond your efforts. When you blur this line, you take on unnecessary weight. You begin to feel frustrated when things don't go as planned, and disappointed when people don't meet expectations you created in your own mind. Detachment brings clarity by returning responsibility to where it belongs. Letting go of control often feels frightening because control gives the illusion of safety. The mind believes that if it worries enough, plans enough, or prepares for every possible outcome, it can avoid pain. But worry does not protect you. It only exhausts you. Pain may still come, but peace depends on how tightly you cling to what you cannot change. When you loosen that grip, your nervous system begins to settle and your thoughts slow down. Detachment does not mean indifference. You can care deeply and still release the outcome. You can give your best effort and accept that the result may look different than you hoped. This mindset allows you to stay grounded even when life feels uncertain, instead of reacting emotionally to every shift. You respond with awareness. You stop measuring your worth by results that were never fully in your hands. Much of what disturbs our peace comes from attachment to expectations. We expect people to behave a certain way, situations to unfold on our timeline, and life to follow a predictable path. When these expectations are not met, we feel betrayed, angry, or hurt. Detachment invites you to replace expectations with acceptance. Acceptance does not mean liking what happens. It means acknowledging reality without fighting it. As you practice detaching, you begin to feel lighter. You stop replaying conversations, stop imagining worst case scenarios, and stop blaming yourself for things you could not prevent. Your focus shifts inward toward what you can actually influence. Your mindset, your reactions, and your choices. This shift is powerful because it returns your energy to the present moment. Peace grows when you trust that you can handle whatever comes without controlling everything that comes. Life becomes less about forcing outcomes and more about flowing through experiences with resilience and calm. In releasing what you cannot control, you create space for balance, clarity, and a deeper sense of inner freedom. The world is loud, fast, and constantly demanding your attention. News updates, opinions, expectations, and endless comparisons compete for space in your mind. Chaos thrives outside of you, and if you let it, it will pull you into a constant state of reaction. Choosing inner calm over outer chaos is a daily decision, not a one-time achievement. It requires awareness, discipline, and the willingness to step back instead of being swept away by everything happening around you. Outer chaos feeds on urgency. Everything feels like it needs an immediate response, an instant opinion, or a quick reaction. But inner calm lives in pause. When you slow down your response, you regain control over your emotional state. You stop letting external noise dictate how you feel. Calm does not mean ignoring reality. It means engaging with it from a place of steadiness rather than panic or anger. Many people believe peace will come once life becomes quiet, stable, or predictable. But life rarely offers those conditions. Waiting for the storm to end before finding calm means you may wait forever. Inner calm is built in the middle of uncertainty. It is the ability to remain centered even when circumstances are unsettled. When you anchor yourself internally, external chaos loses its power to disturb you. Choosing calm often means choosing differently than others. While people rush to argue, complain, or react emotionally, you choose restraint. While others feed on drama, you choose distance. This choice can feel lonely at first because chaos is socially contagious. But calm creates clarity. It allows you to see situations for what they are, not what heightened emotions make them seem. Inner calm also comes from simplifying your focus. When you try to process everything at once, your mind becomes overwhelmed. Calm grows when you narrow your attention to what truly matters in the moment. You begin to ask yourself whether something deserves your energy or if it is simply noise. Not every problem is yours to solve, and not every opinion deserves a response. There is strength in emotional regulation. When you remain calm, you think more clearly, communicate more effectively, and make better decisions. Chaos pushes you into impulsive actions you later regret. Calm gives you the space to respond with intention. Over time, this becomes a powerful form of self-trust. You know that no matter what happens around you, you can maintain balance within yourself. Choosing inner calm is an act of self-protection. It preserves your mental health and safeguards your peace. When the world feels overwhelming, your calm becomes a refuge, a place where you can return to yourself. And in that calm, you discover that peace is not the absence of chaos, but the ability to remain steady in its presence. Most people spend their lives chasing things they believe will bring them happiness, success, approval, recognition, security. They invest years of effort trying to build something they can point to and say, "This is my achievement." Yet many of them still feel restless, anxious, and unfulfilled. What they often overlook is that peace is more valuable than anything they are trying to obtain. It cannot be bought, borrowed, or replaced once it is lost. Protecting your peace like it is your greatest wealth means understanding that without it, every other achievement feels hollow. Peace is the foundation that allows you to enjoy what you work so hard for. Without peace, success becomes pressure, relationships become obligations, and ambition becomes exhaustion. You may gain status, money, or admiration, but if your mind is constantly unsettled, none of it truly satisfies you. A peaceful mind allows you to experience life fully, to appreciate moments instead of rushing through them, and to find meaning beyond external validation. Many threats to peace appear harmless at first. A small compromise of your values, a repeated tolerance of disrespect, a habit of ignoring your intuition. Over time, these small allowances accumulate and slowly erode your inner stability. You begin to feel uneasy without knowing exactly why. Protecting your peace requires awareness of these subtle warning signs and the courage to respond to them before they become patterns. When you treat peace as wealth, you become selective. You are more mindful of the environments you stay in, the conversations you entertain, and the relationships you nurture. You start asking yourself whether something adds to your life or takes from it. This selectiveness is not arrogance, it is discernment. Just as you would not hand your savings to someone who misuses it, you should not give your peace to situations that consistently drain you. There is also a deep sense of freedom that comes with prioritizing peace. You stop proving yourself to people who have already decided how they see you. You stop chasing validation from places that cannot give it. When peace becomes your priority, you no longer measure your worth by external standards. You begin to trust your inner compass more than outside opinions, and that trust brings confidence. Protecting your peace often requires difficult choices. It may mean walking away from relationships that once felt familiar, but now feel heavy. It may mean disappointing others to stay true to yourself. These choices can be painful, but the pain of temporary discomfort is far less than the long-term cost of living in constant inner conflict. Peace demands honesty, and honesty sometimes demands sacrifice. A peaceful life is not a perfect life. Challenges still arise, loss still happens, and uncertainty remains part of the human experience. But peace changes how you move through these moments. Instead of being consumed by fear or anger, you approach difficulties with resilience. You feel emotions without being controlled by them. You grieve, adapt, and continue forward without losing yourself. When you protect your peace, you also influence the people around you. Calm becomes your presence, and stability becomes your language. Others may not understand your choices, but they will feel the difference. Peace has a quiet strength that does not need to announce itself. It is reflected in how you speak, how you listen, and how you respond under pressure. In the end, peace is not something you find outside of yourself. It is something you create through the choices you make every day. When you guard it with intention, it supports every area of your life. Success becomes meaningful, relationships become genuine, and life becomes lighter. Treat your peace like your greatest wealth, because once you have it, you realize it was what you were searching for all along.